I see that people did bring up my history with CPS. If you think that that didn't teach me how to cross my T's and dot my I's, then that would be crazy. Of course, I took that knowledge and tried to grow from it and make sure that I do the best I can to provide an environment for my kids with the circumstances that I have.
Okay, full disclaimer, I did say in my last video that it was probably going to be the last one. Okay, I can't help it. I need to talk about the Jenkins family. New developments have just come out. We actually have Stephanie's mum who has entered the chat, and I know this through that Brittany lady who has been covering this over on TikTok. Stephanie's mum not only has been leaving comments highlighting the fact that she has actually contacted CPS before in regards to how worried she is about the kids. She also went into Brittany's live and said some extremely interesting things which kind of changed a lot of the dynamic of what we see over on the Resilient Jenkins TikTok feed, so I'll be getting into that.
And then before this, Stephanie's mom confirmed that Stephanie lived with her mom. They had a 3-bedroom apartment. So she took her kids out of their comfortable 3-bedroom apartment where they had more than enough space and threw them to shack up with this guy in this little tiny apartment.
We also have a mum whose little boy is actually best friends with Andrew's son. So if you're confused, Andrew's the dad. He also has a 12-year-old son who he's not wanted to pay any money towards, basically abandoned him. And we have Nails by Arlita, who is the mum of that child who has spoken out. There's a lot of characters here, and if you do not understand and you're completely confused, I will leave my prior, I think, 3 videos on this topic just linked in the description box so that you can catch yourself up to speed, because there's just so many different components to this.
Never in a million years would I be sitting here on TikTok watching TikTok and my son leans over and says, "That's my friend that I want to come over and spend the night," and it's Resilience Jenkins' son.
We also have this video that Stephanie released where I'm going to be getting to first, because she made this video and in a nutshell is saying that she's not going to be Jewessing anything, she's not going to be discussing anything, Jewessing, responding to people because they're baseless allegations or whatever she said, that she has severe social anxiety and that's the reasoning why she appears, in her words, slow, and yeah, she likes to think before she speaks.
Sure, you know, there is a lot being said about me, and I think that it's time that I maybe give my story. Let people decide for themselves if they want to hear it from people who weren't there, who didn't experience it, or the person who actually went through it. I'm sorry if this video has a few cuts. I have really bad social anxiety, and sometimes articulating some of my thoughts takes a minute. I've heard people say that that makes me appear slow and that they feel like I'm mentally behind because of my social anxiety. I've also heard people say every time we call her out something, she's speechless. There's a difference between speechless and sitting and making sure you don't just say the first thing on your mind. I learned that lesson. I don't just say the first thing on my mind. A lot of people have just already decided to hate me, and that's your stance, that's your right. I'm not gonna try to convince you otherwise. I'm just gonna share my authentic self and hope that God can bring in the right people. Please take the understanding that Jesus died for everybody. He doesn't not love me, and he's not here. This is what I mean about social anxiety. Jesus accepts everybody, and people keep coming into my comments telling me God doesn't care about you, he wouldn't better your life because you're this, that, and the third. I'm not going to do the same thing. I'm not going to be throwing that energy. I don't plan on stitching or duetting all of these nasty videos. I just plan on continuing to do everything I've been doing from the beginning and keep bettering myself as a mother first and foremost.
Now, I find this extremely interesting because I saw another creator who stitched together this video that Stephanie had done 2 years prior, so in 2022. For someone who claims to have social anxiety, this is the last piece of content I would ever expect them to make.
It's gonna be my motherfucking third random rants, okay? Listen, this doesn't want to stand. That's gonna be another thing I'm gonna rant about. Listen, okay, because I am damn lucky to be home, not out in that work field, and I give that all to my man, and I'm so grateful.
Well, alrighty then. that's working out really well for you guys.
But apparently, just because it's on my workplace, that don't mean that I'm not gonna bring that drama home. Because tell me why. When my man tells me something about his boss or his coworkers, I wanna whoop their when am I gonna go anyways? What the
All right.
And I'm over here thinking about like some medieval weaponry, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying, you tell me when your boss is over there, baby, I can walk my butt over there. I got some stuff, I got some juju to throw her way. Why?
I can definitely see why they may have changed directions with their channel.
And tell me why, when it's a woman in power, they're always bitches and they're always white.
Who's gonna tell her?
They're always white. What the hell? Why would you say that? You're white. No, okay. Yes, I'm white, but I'm not white. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. Them entitled. Okay?
I think entitlement is kind of like people who post on the internet with crazy wish lists and crazy wants and needs when they're not willing to go out and even work for themselves or try to change their situation, but they just expect absolutely everybody else to take care of them for the rest of their lives. I think that might be a better description for that word.
Man, woo! I'm gonna go ice my face.
So that's what her content used to be.
Yeah, so do with that what you will, but that's not really proving her point. Also, she goes on to say that, you know, she's been in contact with CPS. CPS has been in contact with her, so she's familiar with it and all of that. And I've got no doubt that people have been ringing CPS, like, have been trying to contact them.
See that people did bring up my history with CPS.
Now, very interestingly, Stephanie's mum has actually tried to contact CPS before. There was a creator called Brittany, who I've also referenced in the past, who found out all this information about Stephanie's husband, because she's actually Stephanie Thompson, who her actual husband is in prison for SAing his own mother and a 7-year-old girl, and then also someone else, I think, as well. So all in all, it's just not really a good vibe. But Stephanie's mum has actually tried to contact CPS before. Very interestingly, she went into one of Brittany's lives and she was saying, okay, that before Stephanie and her 2 kids, I think, moved into where they are now, they were actually living in a 3-bedroom house or apartment with Stephanie's mum.
See, I thought that for a second too. But no, Miss Stephanie's mom knew what she was doing when she said that. Wasn't about politics, because look. What makes you think I haven't reported her? And second of all, do you know how many little rights grandparents have? She has called CPS on Miss Stephanie herself. She would. Trust me, I could if I would. She would go get her grandkids if she could. She knows her grandkids deserve better, but her hands are tied. And she feels broken about the mess that her daughter is putting them grandkids through. It says a lot that nobody in Miss Stephanie's family has gotten on here and defended her, said anything nice about her. We all know she's a horrible person. So Stephanie's mom was in my live yesterday and actually did confirm that the apartment that they live in was Drew's apartment originally, with just him and his son. Then Miss Stephanie came over with her 2 kids and invaded Mr. Drew's son's space, which I just think is really selfish. And not only is he sharing his space, he's forced to share all his resources, the little resources they have. Now he has to share and has been sharing. It's just not fair. And then before this, Stephanie's mom confirmed that Stephanie lived with her mom. They had a 3-bedroom apartment. So she took her kids out of their comfortable 3-bedroom apartment where they had more than enough space and threw them to shack up with this guy in this little tiny apartment. Why would you do that to your kids? This isn't a situation where they were forced into this. Yes, they're poor, but they were not living like this before. They chose to live like this so that they can just be together and be trash.
This whole idea that, you know, they came from hard times and they just have been in this situation for a little while If what Stephanie's mum is saying is the truth, then that is not true. They literally went from having enough space for all of them, just about enough space, to living in a 1-bedroom apartment. But also to think about as well is that if this is true, because once again, we don't know Stephanie's mum, if this is true, this means that Andrew, who previously had been on the street with his son, he just got out of rehab, and he'd been on the street with his son trying to find somewhere to live. So they had managed to find a 1-bedroom apartment. They had 1 bedroom. I can imagine Andrew was probably sleeping in the bedroom, and then the son was probably sleeping on the sofa. This is just my conspiracy, allegedly. All right, this is just what I personally think. Stephanie just comes in, I think, with her 2 kids and just takes over the whole show. And I side-eye Andrew massively. I side-eye both of them. I think they're both deplorable people, allegedly. That's just from what I see. That is very, very interesting that Stephanie's own mum, allegedly, has been trying to get hold of CPS because she's worried about her own grandkids. And Stephanie basically just moved in with Andrew, which 150,000% lines up with what I have been saying and everyone else has been saying, that she moved in just to be with Andrew, not thinking for 1 second how that would then affect the kids. Didn't think about that for 1 minute, just wanted to be with Andrew, and basically kicking the kids out of any space they might have to share a tiny little space and just continuously adding more kids to the pile.
Because I couldn't believe how small Portland was. The fact that they are in the same class sharing snacks together is sad.
Now, interestingly enough, we now have a mum of a boy, I think, who is best friends with Andrew's son, just best friends with one of the kids that's living in the house. And what I found really sad about this is bearing in mind, if this is true, what I found really sad about this is that the mum says allegedly her son had said, how come they have loads of bites on their legs? How come they have bites and scars? And the mum basically realised that, well, they have bites and scars, which, by the way, you can actually see in some clips. Actually see that some of the kids do, in fact, have scar marks or bite marks on their legs. And then Stephanie's turned around and said that they did have a flea infestation, that they had a lice infestation, probably bed bug infestation, and the fact that they have so many people living in such a cramped space with cats. I think they have like 2 cats.
Okay, so I just want to make a post really fast because I was just on Facebook and TikTok and all this stuff, and then I, of course, come across Resilience Jenkins or whatever their name is, and I'm just watching the videos, Mind you, my son is 7. My middle son, he's 7 years old. He has this little friend at school who he's been begging for this boy to come over and spend the night at our house. He always takes lunch for the kid, whatever, like shares the snacks with him and shit, because they have snack time and the teacher has to buy the snacks herself. And so like my son would always pack extra snacks for kids who couldn't have snacks. Well, the teacher, my son's like, he wants the boy to come over so bad. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll think about it. You need to clean your room, because, you're not cleaning your room. I'm not going to have people over at our house if you don't want to clean your room. You want to push stuff under the bed all the time. So, I'm just like making the normal things. Never in a million years would I be sitting here on TikTok watching TikTok and my son leans over and says, that's my friend that I want to come over and spend the night. And it's Resilience Jenkins' son. Not her son, it's her, Andrew's son. My son is friends with her son, and he wants him to come spend the night at our house because, he just wants him to come spend the night at our house. So then I show my son the TikToks. Y'all, when I tell you my son was super sad and said he made sure to say that he's going to go to school on Monday and try to have this little boy come spend the night and hang out with him more. My son was like, they're TikTok famous, but then my son says, why doesn't he have his own room? Why doesn't he have a bed? Like, why are they sleeping on the floor? My son's like, what the f-? Because mind you, I'm a single mom of 3 kids. I have a 3-bedroom. Like, I have a 3-bedroom apartment. They have their own rooms. They have their own beds. And I know the CPS will flip out if your kids don't have their own bed. So it's really crazy to me how they don't have a bed and they're in this apartment. Like, I know there is no help. There is no funding in Oregon. I'm in the same boat, struggling with our rent and shit because there is no funding to help with your rent and stuff. That's a 2-parent household. They can both go to work. And her kids go to school with my kids. I know for a fact that they have, up the street from that school, there is a daycare that will take your kids. You know, you can drop him off and it's right on 142nd in Division. I had my baby in that daycare until he got into all-day preschool at the very school our kids go to, and my son's 4. So I'm just saying, it's a small world. Portland, especially itself, is way too small to be running around being that reckless. Like, you had me get up out of my bed and make this TikTok because I couldn't believe how small Portland was. The fact that they are in the same class sharing snacks together is sad. And you know the one thing that my son asked me to? Why does he have scars all over his legs? And then I read on here, I'm doing a little bit more deep dive. I learned that there's lice and fleas over there. Are you kidding me? What the them poor kids. Poor kids.
Which also brings me to the next point of the fact that toxoplasmosis, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, when you're told when you're pregnant not to handle kissy litter, like cat poo basically, you're not supposed to touch it. And there's Stephanie over there like handling it. And I mean, loads of people have pointed this one out because it's not only dangerous for the mum, but it's extremely dangerous for the baby. The baby could literally be born blind and deaf. It's that serious. I remember my mum talking about this when I was first pregnant and saying, do not handle Lissa, do not handle it. You have to get your partner to handle it because you're not supposed to. And there's Stephanie over here just handling it. But the moral of this whole story is the fact that more and more people are piecing together. I think it's Portland where they live. That everyone's saying it's such a small area and everyone seems to know each other. I mean, it's literally spread like wildfire. And we have Stephanie over here pretending to be this God-fearing, God-loving woman, when in actuality, I don't believe this. I don't believe whatever front she's putting on, especially after seeing a few clips of hers from a year or two ago. I don't buy it. I'm not buying it. I don't think anyone else should be buying it. And for the love of God, can everyone please stop buying them things now? I feel like everyone should stop. I haven't done it, but I feel like everyone should stop because they're getting really cheeky with it, okay? We had Andrew socks. We had men's socks that were there that were bloody expensive. People have bought them. And LED lights for their little LED. Like, no, people have to stop buying them things, especially if it looks like it's not even for the children. And I get that people are trying to be nice, but these people, A, are not nice. Okay, allegedly, they're not nice people. And they've done some really shady things and people are rewarding it. And they've also put themselves in this situation because by the sounds of it, Stephanie came from actually quite a good place and she went and willingly moved her kids into this situation. Okay, Andrew had probably just about managed to find somewhere and then Stephanie then moved in. And it's just this horrible, like, codependent thing. And I just, horrible. I don't even know. But that's basically the update that I have for you guys. Tomorrow, I promise there'll be a completely separate topic. I might revisit these guys again, but there will be a topic change tomorrow. Yeah, so keep that one in your diaries. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. I'll catch up with you guys in the next video.